Take a moment, just stop for a second. Think about the fact that you're watching this video right now. This moment, this now. Do you think it just passes and disappears forever? That's what most of us assume, that time is a straight road. But what if I told you that picture is fundamentally wrong? What if I told you that the moment you're sitting in right now is somewhere else in some other frame of time, just as real as it feels to you right now? This is Einstein's physics, not a theory, but a proven reality. And if time is that flexible, can we actually travel through it? Could you go back and stop your own grandfather from meeting your grandmother and never be born yourself? Today, we're going to find out. Welcome back to the channel, where we break down the universe's strangest questions in plain, simple language, in the spirit of Brian Greene, where science becomes a story. If you're new here, every week we cover black holes, quantum mechanics, and the nature of time itself in a way that feels more like a conversation with a friend over coffee than a lecture from a professor. Before we start, if you want more videos like this, hit subscribe or stay until the end, because we're going to get into a paradox that might genuinely keep you up tonight. And if you enjoy this, please like it and share it with your friends. Let's get started. Newton believed time was absolute, flowing at the exact same rate everywhere in the universe. In 1905, a 26-year-old patent clerk, Albert Einstein, changed that forever. He asked, "If I ran alongside a beam of light at the speed of light, what would I see?" Chasing that answer, he gave us special relativity, where time isn't absolute at all but depends on your speed and the gravity around you. As a child, Einstein was considered fairly ordinary. Some accounts say he was even a late talker. He disliked the rigid school system of his time because he loved asking questions, not memorizing facts. Unable to land an academic job after graduating, he took a clerk's job at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. That turned out to be a blessing. The work was light, giving him plenty of time to think. In 1905, now called his miracle year, he published 4 papers in a single year that reshaped physics forever, including special relativity. Interestingly, he never won a Nobel Prize for it. His 1921 Nobel was for the photoelectric effect, because at the time, even many scientists weren't fully convinced by an idea this radical. The foundation of Einstein's theory: the speed of light is always the same, no matter how fast you're moving. This was confirmed by the 1887 Michelson-Morley experiment. If light speed is fixed, something else has to be flexible: time and space themselves. Here's the contrast with everyday physics. If you're in a car going 60 miles per hour and throw a ball forward at 15 miles per hour, someone standing on the sidewalk sees it moving at 75 miles per hour. The speeds add up. But light doesn't follow that rule. If you turned on a flashlight aboard a ship moving at 90% light speed, someone on Earth would still see that light moving at exactly light speed. No more, no less. It's one of the strangest, most fundamental rules in the universe. Imagine you're on a spaceship with a light clock where a photon bounces between 2 mirrors. From your seat, the photon moves straight up and down. But someone watching from Earth sees your spaceship also moving forward. So to them, the photon travels a longer diagonal path. Since light speed never changes, that longer path takes more time, meaning your clock looks slower to them. That's time dilation. The faster you move, the slower time passes for you from an outside observer's point of view. This isn't an illusion, it's real. Real proof cosmic ray particles called muons only live about 2 microseconds, yet because they travel at 99% the speed of light, time dilation lets far more of them reach the ground than classical physics would predict. And our GPS satellites orbiting 12,500 miles up, moving fast and sitting in weaker gravity, their clocks run about 38 microseconds faster than clocks on Earth every day. Without correcting for that, GPS location errors would grow by about 6 miles per day. Imagine twins Alex and Sam. Alex stays on Earth, Sam travels at 90% the speed of light to a distant star. For Sam, 10 years pass, but when he returns, Alex has aged 40 to 50 years while Sam experienced acceleration, slowing down, turning around, coming back. Alex stayed in one constant, non-accelerating frame the whole time. That asymmetry resolves the paradox. Our real-world proof, cosmonaut Sergei Krikalev, who spent more cumulative time in orbit than anyone, is about 0. 2 seconds younger than he'd otherwise be. One more key point: this shows now isn't universal. 2 events happening at the same time in 2 places might look simultaneous to someone standing still, but not to someone moving fast. Both are correct in their own frame. This idea carries us toward the block universe in part 2. In 1915, Einstein gave us general relativity. Gravity isn't a force, it's the curving of space-time itself. Picture a stretchy sheet with a heavy ball, the sun placed on it, curving the fabric, and a smaller ball, Earth, rolling around that dip, orbiting it. This came from a simple but profound insight called the equivalence principle. Inside a closed elevator, you can never tell whether you're feeling Earth's gravity or a rocket's acceleration. Physics treats them as identical. The result, stronger gravity, means slower time. Near a black hole, time crawls from a distant observer's view. In Interstellar, a few hours on a planet near the black hole Gargantua equal 23 years back on the ship. Physicist Kip Thorne, who later won a Nobel Prize for discovering gravitational waves, personally worked out those numbers. More proof, Mercury's orbital wobble, which Newton's physics couldn't explain, was predicted precisely by Einstein's equations. And the 1971 Hayfel-Keating experiment flying atomic clocks around the world on commercial planes showed exactly the time difference Einstein predicted. There's also length contraction. A fast-moving object appears shorter in its direction of motion to an outside observer while everything looks normal to those inside it. Together with time dilation, this shows space and time aren't separate. They're one thing, space-time. Many people think if I just drive fast enough, I can time travel. Not true. Any car or plane on Earth moves so slowly compared to light that the effect is far too small to notice. Only atomic clocks can detect it. And remember, time travel isn't vanishing and instantly reappearing like teleportation. It's a gradual physical process. The faster you move, the slower time passes, step by step. No magic involved. Let's make this concrete with numbers. If Sam travels at 80% light speed, 0. 8c to a star 8 light years away, the round trip takes Alex, on Earth, 20 years. But for Sam, by his own clock, it only takes about 12 years. He returns 8 years younger. That's a big enough difference that a real interstellar mission could genuinely let a crew save part of their own lifespan. Yes, and it's already happening. Traveling near light speed or spending time near something as massive as a black hole lets you leap forward relative to Earth. But this trip only goes one way. You can't come back to your old time. So the real question is, can we travel to the past? That's where things get truly strange. Wormholes, negative energy, the grandfather paradox, all coming in part 2. Quick FAQ, does time slow down on an airplane? Yes, but the difference, a few hundred nanoseconds, is far too tiny to notice. Only atomic clocks can measure it. And in the twin paradox, since motion is relative, why does only Sam stay younger? Because Sam experienced acceleration, turning around, while Alex stayed in one constant frame. That asymmetry makes the difference. Before Wormholes, in 1949, mathematician Kurt Gödel, one of Einstein's closest friends, used general relativity's equations to show that if the entire universe were rotating in a specific way, space-time could curve into paths called closed time-like curves, where traveling far enough could loop you back into your own past. Luckily, our universe doesn't rotate like Gödel's model, so these curves don't naturally exist. But the discovery pushed physicists to wonder whether we could engineer such curves ourselves, like through wormholes. In 1935, Einstein and Nathan Rosen found a tunnel solution in general relativity's equations, the Einstein-Rosen bridge connecting two distant regions, or points in time, of space-time. Picture two dots on paper, fold the paper so they touch, and poke a pin through. The distance collapses. That's the basic idea. Theoretically, if one end of a wormhole were on Earth and the other somewhere far across the universe, you could pass through instantly without crossing light years of space. The problem, physicist Kip Thorne showed in 1988 that a wormhole would collapse almost instantly. Keeping it open requires negative energy, exotic matter, something only observed at a tiny scale, the Casimir effect, nowhere near the amount a wormhole would need. So wormhole time travel remains, for now, beautiful math, not reality. Does time stop completely at a black hole's event horizon? From a distant observer's view, yes, anything approaching seems to slow down until it looks frozen. But for whatever is actually falling in, their own time passes normally. Could we ever build a ship fast enough to reach a wormhole? Our fastest spacecraft today only reach about 0.064% the speed of light. Reaching a wormhole, if one even existed, is an enormous leap beyond that. If paradoxes aren't allowed, are time travel movies just wrong? Some, like Back to the Future, are physics-wise inaccurate, while others, like Interstellar, are based on real calculations. Not every movie should be judged the same way. Now, the most terrifying question: imagine you travel back and prevent your grandfather from ever meeting your grandmother. If that happens, your parent is never born, and neither are you. But if you were never born, who traveled back to stop that meeting? This is the grandfather paradox, and it has two major proposed resolutions. One, the Novikov self-consistency principle. The universe automatically arranges itself so paradoxes can't happen. Whatever you try, something will always stop you. What happened, happened. You have free will, but you can only ever do what history already recorded. Two, the many worlds interpretation. From quantum mechanics, physicist Hugh Everett proposed in 1957 that the universe splits into a new branch for every possible outcome. If you change something in the past, you create a new universe branch. Your original timeline stays untouched. Under this view, the paradox never actually happens. And there's also the even stranger bootstrap paradox. Imagine handing a musician a recording of their own future song before they ever wrote it. So where did the song actually come from? It's information with no true origin, just an endless loop. Beyond wormholes, Kerr black holes, rotating black holes, offer another theoretical path discovered by physicist Roy Kerr in 1963. When a black hole spins, its singularity isn't a point, but a ring. Theoretically, passing through the center of that ring could lead somewhere else, a different place or time. But just reaching it is so dangerous that anything approaching would be destroyed first. So this too remains beautiful math rather than a practical route. Future time travel is already happening on a small scale. But traveling to the past, we have no technology for wormholes, no way to generate negative energy, and no access to anything like a Tipler cylinder, the ultra-dense spinning cylinder physicist Frank Tipler proposed in 1974, requirements far beyond any current technology. Stephen Hawking believes some fundamental law we don't yet understand might always prevent this kind of paradox, an idea he called the chronology protection conjecture. In 2009, he famously threw a party for future time travelers, but published the invitations only after the party, hoping someone from the future would show up. Nobody did. A fundamental question: physics equations are mostly time symmetric. So why does time only ever move toward the future? The answer lies in thermodynamics. The second law states that in any closed system, entropy, disorder, always increases, never decreases. Drop an egg and it shatters, but the pieces never spontaneously reassemble. The universe began in a low entropy state, the Big Bang, and entropy has been rising ever since, which is why time feels like it only flows in one direction. Special relativity also tells us now isn't universal. Every moving observer has their own personal now. This leads to an idea called the block universe, where past, present, and future are all equally real and permanently exist, like every page of a book existing at once, whether or not you're currently reading it. Einstein himself, writing to the family of his close friend Michel Besso after his death, said the distinction between past, present, and future is merely a stubbornly persistent illusion. This idea is comforting. Every beautiful moment you've lived is permanently preserved. But it also raises a question: if everything is already written, what does free will even mean? Some physicists argue our choices still come from our own minds, making them meaningfully free even if predetermined. Others point to quantum randomness as a possible source of real unpredictability. The question remains open. We've covered a lot: time dilation, the twin paradox, gravitational time dilation, all proven realities. Wormholes, the grandfather paradox, the block universe, deep theories that show us time is one of the strangest, most mysterious things in the universe. Time isn't a straight road, it's a river flowing at a slightly different pace for everyone, everywhere. And maybe, in some way, every moment you've ever lived never truly disappears. Underneath all of it lies one simple truth. Time, which feels like a cold mechanical thing, is actually one of the most flexible and mysterious realities there is. It's woven directly into the fabric of space-time, something that can stretch and curve with speed and gravity, and perhaps, someday, something we could genuinely travel through. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. Share it with your friends, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments, if you had just one chance, would you travel to the past or the future? Drop it below. See you in the next video with a new question, a new mystery. And until then, don't forget to look up at the night sky. Every star you see is showing you its own past, light that left it long ago, just now reaching you. In that sense, humanity has always been a time traveler, just looking backward, never forward. Take care.